Bus seats. There's a bunch of them in Vilnius, and it's time to rank them in the only objective way possible, a tier list. I'll rank them from base to worst, taking into account various factors from comfort and legroom to proximity to the exit and whether it's next to a window. It's not about how cushy the seats are, it's also about convenience. I'll assume optimal conditions for rankings. So you're not carrying anything, the seat does not contain any questionable liquids on it, the bus is not on fire, etc. Keep in mind that personal preferences may lead to some variations, so what works for a solo commuter might not be ideal for a group traveling together, and so on. Also, I won't factor in trolleybus seats, as that is outside of the scope of this comparison. Additionally, I'll be ignoring the social dynamics of bus seating, like unspoken rules, who sits where, and so on, because that is subjective experience that varies from person to person. So, before we dive in, I'd appreciate if you could give this video a like. Perhaps if you're feeling generous, subscribing would be fantastic. Now, let's get started with our first contender. The classic bus seat, which is not next to a window. So this would basically be your baseline. So you don't get that much legroom here, and you don't always get to enjoy the window, depending on who's sitting next to you. So you would only choose this seat if the window seat is not available. So that would be a B tier for me. And now we have the seat next to it, which is a window seat. So that one is a little better. It is more convenient because you can lean into it and maybe sleep if you're tired enough. So that would be A tier for me. Now, we've got a similar seat, except this one has a lot more legroom, as you can see. So this one is facing another seat and this one is not. So this one gives more comfort. So I'll still add it to A tier, but just know that this is a little bit above the seat before us. And now we got the same seat, which is not a window seat, but this one. This has still that good legroom, so that would go into A tier, but maybe before this seat, which is a window seat. Next, we have this situation where the seats are facing against the bus. So this is less convenient because when the bus brakes, then you're gonna get launched forwards. So that is very annoying sometimes, and you can fly out of it if the braking is fast enough. So that would be a B tier. So we've got a similar variation, which is next, but this is not a window seat, which makes it worse. You could get launched in front, you could get launched to your left as well. So that's not very convenient, so that would be a C tier. Next, we've got a situation where you have the front seats, but these have good legroom, which is a similar situation to these ones, except you have, well, more legroom. And not only that, but this is a window seat. So this goes into, I could give it A tier, but I could leave more space for A tier. I would say this one is maybe B tier, but upgraded because more legroom. And this is the seat next to it, so this doesn't have that window view. I'm gonna put this one into C, but just know that this is above the previous one, slightly. Or it could be like low B tier. Yeah, I have to put it here. And now we run into seats behind it. So those are annoying, because they don't have that much legroom. But, well, this is a window seat. But it doesn't justify. And also it's facing the other way. Therefore, this has to be a C tier. And the seat next to it almost has a curse, but we have worse. So for that one, I'm gonna go for a C tier, but like a lower C tier. So maybe here. Alright. So now we are going into the territory of what they call harmonica, because this is basically only applies for long buses. This one is very inconvenient because this specific seat spins as the bus turns, and it is very annoying to be here. However, it could be convenient if you're tall enough, and you can lean into it. So this could be either lowest C tier. Yeah, I'm gonna put it into lowest C tier. And for the next one, we have the similar situation, but this one actually has something for you to hold on. So let me think. This has to go into cursed because, yeah, this one doesn't have anything for you to hold on. And this one will go into C tier for that, because this one is less inconvenient. So we have this seat now, which is next to that harmonica, but it is still something you can comfortably sit on. However, there's not that much legroom. Therefore, I would go for C tier as well. Alright, for the next one, we have a seat which is next to a window. So you don't have that much legroom, however, it's next to the exit, so it's very convenient. Not only that, but these seats typically have a window view, which is very helpful. However, this comes with another caveat. These seats are usually in the back, and when you have a seat in the back, you have a roller coaster, and the smallest bump that the bus hits feels like you're going downhill from the roller coasters, and sometimes you can even get airtime. So if you're into that, I would say that would be A tier for you. However, for average individual, I would say this one is a strong B tier due to proximity of the exit. However, it's still not better from these ones, perhaps, because this one also has that proximity. So I'm gonna go for B tier, but this could be A tier if you want to have fun. Alright, for the next part, again, we have a similar model of the seats, which are facing another set of seats, so meaning you don't have that much legroom. However, this one comes with a heater, so in the winter you are quite comfortable here, actually. Since this is a window seat, I would say this could go into A tier, but this is a heated seat, which gives me a rating of a really solid A tier. And we have a similar seat next to it. Well, it doesn't have proximity to the heater, so it's not that good. So this goes in line with other seats that we have here. So maybe I will put it into a B tier, but it's not that great because this one has, for example, a lot more legroom. However, you can see that this has that proximity to the exit. So I'll have to put it maybe here. Yeah, maybe this will still work. Yeah, like a solid B tier, I'd say. Alright, so now we are moving into this special seat. So this is a seat where when you're carrying something, it is convenient. For example, if you have a bicycle or maybe some other vehicle, this is probably the only seat available to you. So in that case, that would be into base tier. However, if you are traveling without any luggage or anything like that, it still has that proximity to the exit, but it's very uncomfortable to stay here and to not get launched from the seat. So that would be maybe a B or C tier even, like maybe a solid C tier if you don't have anything that prevents you from using the other seats. So to average the results, I would put it into a strong B tier. Now we are moving into the special set of seats. So these are 2x2 seats that are facing each other. So these seats that are facing each other, with them, it is convenient if you're sitting there alone. But if multiple people come to you, especially if all four are populated, then you don't have that much legroom. So this one could be a false positive usually if you enter a bus which is not crowded and then it gets super crowded and then you're not that comfortable. I'll still have to rate them individually, but you have to keep this dynamic in mind when you're going for those 4 seats. Let's go for the first one. So this one is the best because it's facing the front of the bus, and it has a window, and it has quite a lot of legroom initially when there are no more people around you. So this could actually be like a solid A tier. Maybe even better than this, because this seat has a lot of legroom, sure, but it can still launch you forwards, while this one has some support where you're pretty secured. For the next one, next to it, it's still pretty good choice, assuming the previous conditions. So if it doesn't get fully crowded, I would actually put it just behind it, but since it's not a window seat, I'll have to consider it. And after a consideration, I would say like this would go into maybe this tier, a strong B tier, but still not that A tier. Okay, moving on, we have the seat that faces against the bus. So it's a little bit less convenient, but it still has that support, which mitigates this factor. So this could go into A tier as well, if this is a window seat, and I think you can see the pattern here. And for the last one, so this one faces against you, so that means this is still worse than the seat that faces the front of the bus, and I think it is quite a lot worse. So this one is usually least preferred seat. So I would go for maybe like a weak B tier for that one. Maybe even C tier. Yeah, I'll have to go critical. Yeah, maybe even C tier. It's just not that good. Okay, so next one we have here is a window seat. This one is next to the door. While the proximity is good, you are actually squished. You're actually squished between 2 more people if it is fully occupied, and it is very inconvenient and also has very little legroom. So this is a false positive because it can sometimes be quite difficult to get out of here if the bus is fully crowded. So due to all those downsides, also if you don't watch out for your fingers, you could get squished by the bus door. That's why I would go for a very weak C tier, but still not into cursed category. Next to it, we have the middle seat. Surprisingly, the middle seat is not that bad. Like, even though this has that window, like, it's still a solid C tier, right? But the middle seat, you see, it is quite easy to get out of it and leave the bus. Because there's like still a little bit of a gap. With the window seat, it's not that easy, this particular one. Therefore, this would go into like a solid B tier, I'd say. Maybe even next to these, like a middle B tier. Alright? And then we have this is incorrect. So this one, yeah, should go into a solid B tier, the middle seat, right? And then we have the side seat, and it's actually quite convenient to get out of it. And so the proximity from the exit is what makes or breaks it. So that's the unique factor of this seat. I would say maybe this is even like a weak A tier. Yeah, I would say so. Maybe even like a little bit of a stronger A tier. Maybe like here, because that proximity is just so convenient. Okay, so this is immediately cursed. If you're unfortunate enough to sit here, like it can still do the job if you're desperate enough, but you're gonna smell someone else's feet if this is fully crowded. Because, like, come on, this seat is above this seat. But if you're desperate enough, I mean, you can go for it, but it's absolutely cursed. Okay, next we have this seat. Now, this can be your only option if the bus is fully booked, fully crowded, and if you have to choose the seat, just be happy you're in the bus, period. So, it could be a base tier if this is the only seat you have, but realistically, if you are free to choose any seat, like, why would you do that? But it's not that bad. So you could go for maybe a B tier, but but it doesn't have that window view, you see. Maybe I'll go on par with like these ones, I'd say. This is still like quite easy to not get flown over, and like it doesn't spin, so like it's still better than these. So I would say like a kind of weak C tier, but it's okay. Alright, so now we are moving into another setup of 2x2 where seats are facing each other. However, from what I see here, this one has a little bit more legroom, so I just have to rate these ones a little bit better than the previous ones. Therefore, after a little bit of a consideration, like I just have to rate them just slightly above this, maybe like 2 above this, something like this. Yeah, something like that. And for the one that's not a window seat but still facing the bus, I would say maybe this, like still a strong B tier. And for this one, I would say like this is still a little bit above this one. Maybe like it's still not the main seat, but I would say yeah, this one is a good ranking. And for the last one, again, it's usually you'd like to avoid this if there are other available, but it's still better than nothing. So I'd go for maybe C tier, but a bit above. But this is still better than this window where you have very little legroom. So I think it earns like a very weak B tier as well. Next similar set of seats. So these ones are a little bit fancier again. So they would, for me, earn the seats of the ones with a lot of legroom. Still have the same advantages and disadvantages. So advantage is that they're next to the exit, right? So these are facing the front of the bus. So meaning it's a little bit easier to hold on. Therefore, my judgment is as follows. A B tier for this one. So maybe this sort of a B tier. And this one, since it's not a window seat, and it has a bit of a downside that you can fly out of it if you're not secure. However, this has this this handle which you can raise, and this has protection, so it's still not that bad. Therefore, it earns a title of maybe a weaker B tier. So maybe something like this, but not as bad. So maybe here-ish. Something like that. It's still above this one, because you can see this one also has a handle which you can raise, but this one is facing the bus. That's why it is more safer. So now we are moving into these three last ones. So without further ado, I would say this one is for This one is supposed to be for 2 people, but it's just combined into one. But literally no one's gonna share it with like someone else unless they're in a group or something like that. So this is just one big seat for you, and usually when it's used like this, it is quite convenient. It is very soft and such. So this earns a A tier, a really good A tier, maybe even above this. And then there's a seat which is in front of the bus, and it's a window seat, so it's like even better, and it's still a double seat. And last but not least, come on, this seat is absolutely the best. Look, it has a table. You can like eat in it. You can have like, I don't know, you can have a 3-course meal if you want. It has heating. It is heated because this is next to the engine. So like if you're in the winter or something like that, it's freezing cold, you just sit on it and you feel so relieved because you chose this seat, because it heats you, and like you can sleep on it, you can do all kinds of it, you can do your homework, you can like, I don't know, write a report, you can work here because this has a table. This is like the best thing ever. And with that, I will end this tier list here. So thank you for watching and happy April Fools.